Welcome to the Now or Never show. I am your host, Kimberly Trapani with All Consuming Filming. It is my pleasure. We've been talking about this in the town all week to introduce college professor and also, if that were not enough, TED Talks professional speaker, producer, and writer, author of a book. Welcome, Rosalyn Kahn. How are you doing today?
I couldn't be better. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Rosalyn, I saw you last night with your speech, and I'm really excited to get to that and then get to know you a little bit more. Are you ready to start talking to us with your speech?
Yes.
Okay, we're ready for you. Whenever you're ready, take a deep breath and we're listening.
Emergency, emergency, emergency. This is a break of our regularly broadcast program. Elizabeth Smart has been captured. This is the young lady who was held in captivity for over 14 months and sexually harassed. Tonight's regularly scheduled program, Rosalyn Kahn, the teacher who was slandered in the college, has been postponed. They say success is 7% talent, 8% luck, and 82% showing up. Toastmasters and most welcome guest. I've been teaching in the college for a really long time, and a unique opportunity came to teach something other than public speaking. I got to teach a class called small group communication. And here's how I start my class. I have my students fill out a piece of paper. It says your name, your identity, any information I need to know, your hobbies, your interests. And one student, John Smith, has responded that he was bipolar and not on his medications. Interesting. We'll come back to that one. And then I tell my students on day one, there's 2 things you need to know. Number 1, show up on time. Number 2, turn your work in on time. Now, this person, John Smith, comes up to me one day and he decides to ask me a question. He says, "Hey, Prof, would you mind helping me out on my political club? The name of the club is XYZ. And I said, "Sure, why not? We might have different politics, but no problem at all." Well, my students tended to have a problem on those 2 basic rules, showing up on time and turning their work in on time. And I had 18 students in the class. And can you imagine 15 of them could get it done right? But there were 3 of them, including John Smith, who couldn't. And so I said, what can I do to get them to I got it. I know what I'll do. At the time, there was this weapons of mass destruction that President George Bush had, and I figured they could just simply write him a quick little note and let him know their opinions. Well, does George Bush have the time to handwrite each student a letter? Of course not. He's a busy man. Well, these 3 students decide rather than turn their stuff in on time, they were going to attack the professor. When we say attack, you say, what? Well, before the word viral came to be, there was every TV, radio station, every news commodity that you could hear was following me, getting my name out. My house was like a newsroom with their phone ringing off the hook. My husband had to field the calls. Even Connie Chung called. Well, I told you Connie Chung was interrupted that night, but we'll have to hear more about that. So they yanked me out of the classroom. They pulled me in and they said, "Are you doing those political activities at our school here too?" And I said, no, we have a gentleman who comes all the way from Camp Pendleton down in San Diego. And he drives up here to Pasadena City College. And then next, he comes to my school here at Pasadena City College. I am so proud of that student that he sends our students off to war. I couldn't be prouder. Well, you better make sure you're not doing those things at our school, Rosalyn. It's not politics. It's simply showing up on time. That's all it's all about. Second school, LA City College, they call me in and they say, Rosalyn, we got to play this recording for you. And you hear this voice. Hi, my name is Joe Schmaldy, and I'm coming from the deep south of South Carolina, and you got a crazy, wild teacher who's bringing up politics in the classroom. How could you allow such a thing? You should fire her. Get her out of there. Get her out of there. Get her out of there. And they turned to me and they said, your classroom is our castle. You don't have to worry about a darn thing. And then I had an attorney, and my attorney told me there were two things I couldn't do. I couldn't talk to my students and tell them what was going on. And number two, I couldn't do interviews. Well, Connie Chung, she was an exception. So one day I'm at the high school down in Inglewood, and the kids were wild. They were crazy. I mean, you heard this commercial everywhere. Every day you heard something about it. And I got in, and they were just outrageous. I didn't know what had come over them. And I get to my car, and you know what? It was one of those damn radio things saying, Rosalyn Kahn, slander teacher, politics in the classroom. Oh my God, when can I get, it was like pulling my hair out of my head. And then it was in the court and out of the court and in the court and out of the court and in. And finally, one day they reached a decision and they tossed me out to mediation. And so I walk into my mediator's room and he says, tell me, Rosalyn, how was it like for you teaching the college? And I began, my name is Rosalyn, and I love my students more than anything else in the whole world. I only ask two things. Just show up on time and turn your works in on time. And there were 18 students of the class who, were just beautiful, but 3 of them decided rather than turn it in on time, they would execute by calling an organization called FIRE, the Institution of the Rights of Education, that goes after crazy teachers, and send them after me. But it wasn't politics, it was being on time. My attorney asked, is there any other questions you'd like to answer? And he said, no. And so we walked down the hallway, and my attorney looked at me and he said, you are by far the best storyteller I've ever heard. It was a waiting game next. Is that letter ever going to come? Days, weeks, not months, but all of a sudden I saw a letter in the mail and I was really surprised, and I went to go ahead and open it up. My God, I can't believe this. My name is cleared. I'm clear. I'm free. There was only one condition. I couldn't go on social media and say my name had been cleared. I couldn't take out a letter in the Los Angeles Times and say my name was cleared. But you know what? In that year, I got more interviews than I ever got in my entire life. I guess they don't watch TV. College professors, they've got too much time, and administrators, they can't watch that TV. Who's got time for that? But you know what? There's a really important lesson here, a really important lesson. And I want to share it all with each and every one of you. Life gets you down sometimes. People call you bad names. They slander your reputation. They say things that are absolutely not true. And what you need to do is you need to stand up straight. And remember, life is not a bowl of cherries. You got to take what life goes ahead and throws you. And what's amazing is it was 20 years after that day. I was teaching in the college at LA City College, and there was an award that they gave me. And the award was for the best teacher at Los Angeles City College. Can you imagine that? Finally redeemed. Forget that Connie Chung interruption. Forget that Elizabeth Smart. I'm living in a land of triumph being the best teacher at Los Angeles City College, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Rosalyn, for your speech. I appreciate it. Have a seat. Let's talk for a few minutes before we cut to commercial break. I want to get to know Rosalyn Kahn. First and foremost, how long have you been in Toastmasters, Rosalyn? How long have you been public speaking?
I've been in Toastmasters since I graduated college, and I want to say probably a couple decades and things like that. My father told me when I graduated college, there was one thing I needed to learn. He said I needed to practice the art of public speaking. And so, I've been practicing for a little bit. And I was in this group called Frontier Training, and they said Toastmasters is the place to go because you can practice, you can get all sorts of feedback, and that's my story.
Tell me, Rosalyn, what motivates you? What in times of uncertainty, in times you talked a lot about in your speech about what people think and the times and the current times and things. What motivates Rosalyn Kahn?
Well, one of the questions they asked me was what was the most important thing, and I believe it's if we can improve ourselves 1% each day and make ourselves that much better. Imagine what that would do in a year. And as I finished the speech last night, I said I'm going to do it better, and I was so excited I got the chance to do it all over for you today, and I could see my head, I could see my face, and it was amazing.
I know you are a producer, an author, a professional speaker. What inspired you, Rosalyn Kahn, to start your career? Was it your father, or what was it something more intrinsic?
Well, I've always liked they say I come from a family of seven, and you had to be special to get a word out because there was six other people that you were competing for. But I found that when I stood up in front of an audience, all the eyes are on me, and I could show them what I do. And it's just beautiful because I'm able to combine my intellectual curiosity. I always want to know who, what, how, and why. I was, just having my nails done, and where are you from, and what books do you like to read, and what movies do you like to watch, and how has life been in America, and then all those different things. It's just this intellectual curiosity, and I always get to choose the place that I shoot my videos and take my videos, and it's got to be a beautiful place. It's got to have some color, it's got to have some life, and it's color first. If you go to Instagram or Facebook today or Tumblr, I
Yes.
posted a picture of a beautiful thing that came on my screen, which was all these multicolored houses and this beautiful reflection. I said, yes, that's it. I took a picture of my dog out by the beautiful flowers, and I showed the lady who gave me those flowers, look at these flowers you gave me, aren't they beautiful? And that's what life is about. It's seeing beauty in all different forms, be it photography, be it cooking or whatever. It's just seeing smiles and flowers, seeing blue skies and making people smile and be happy, and that's what I'm about.
Can you tell me about your book and what the synopsis is and when you wrote it and what you were going through at the time?
Well, there's three of them that I have, so we'll talk about one of them of difficulty. It's called Dogs and Roses. And the difficulty I was facing was I was depressed, and we all get depressed. We all compare ourselves to other people and think we're not less than or something like that. And my coach, God rest in heaven, said to me, "What makes you happy?" And I said, "Dogs and roses." And he said, "Do it." And so I went out and took pictures. And to this day, if I ever see a cute dog, I was driving on the street and there was a picture of a dog on the back of the truck, and I had to take that picture. AI knows that I love dogs, and so it always sends me pictures of dogs that are in the media to keep a smile on my face. And I was out taking a picture of another rose this morning, and it doesn't matter how many roses are in the book. There's always one that's more important. If we get out and we look at nature, it's a way to lift us out of the doldrums that we might be in and things that are bothering us and stuff like that.
And we're all going through a lot in this world with whatever just happened in the last 5 years. And I know you have written a book on inspiring kindness. You're a professional coach. You're a life motivator. What motivates you, Rosalyn?
Well, there's so much downtrodden bitterness and just distraught with the world. I had a class I used to teach in English as a second language, and it had this wonderful saying, and it said if we didn't tune on the news every day and read the newspaper and we came back to it 4 months later, we'd be really much better off. And it's starting the day in my way. And my way is getting up and listening to my Vipassana meditation, reading a book of quotes of women who do too much, a quote of the day. Today's message was the same one as yesterday, is to be calm. And the other book I read talked about the importance of loving yourself and loving other people. And there's not enough love in the world. And if we could all be more loving. And then I write down my list of gratitude. And that's before I check my phone, before I check my email, before I look at the newspaper. And I drink a bunch of fluids, because you need to fill your body with all sorts of fluids. It's lemon water, it's fresh soup, it's tea. And then I might then go, and if I have time, I'll do some reading, or there's something else important to do. Today's important thing was figuring out bills. I had to calculate bills that I owe someone, and I've been putting it off. And I said, finish talk before interview, compute mathematical equations. And that's what I did, and go swimming. And here we are.
I was watching, I'm a people watcher. I watch how people interact in the community. I watch how people treat people. And I happened to be in the store with my mother yesterday, and this man was talking down to a woman because she butt the line, and just saying horrible things. So she had to get up, go from the front of the line to the back of the line. And I said, no, men talking down to women. What is your perspective on equality? Are we farther along than we were 20 years ago, or is there still some sense of culture that says that we're allowed to demoralize women?
Well, I think that's an interesting case when you look at what's been in the news and taking women's rights away over their bodies and their humanities and so forth. And it's, we've come so far, and yet I want to point to the director of the film that I'm working on, which is Bloodline. And the lady who's the director there said, it's equal. I not only want to help the guy who wrote the film, but I want to help you in what you're doing. And if you need help in your speaking, I want to be there, because you're part of this program, and everyone is all about it. And she includes everyone in the team, in the situation, and so on and so forth. And don't get me wrong. I can tell you horrible atrocities of ladies that I worked with in unnamed institutions that weren't as good as they could possibly be. But life is like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get. But the problem is when we cataclysmically, select one and say that's everyone. And I think that's what the problem is. But realistically, when you look at the world and the advantages are of what the woman's pay to a man's pay, no, it hasn't gone up much. But you can see in certain occupations with programs like STEM that it's really changing the trajectory of women allowed into those technical fields and things like that. And look at you as a filmmaker yourself, baby. I'm so proud of you.
It's so exciting for women to empower other women. We're going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to dive more deeper into your TED Talks and your producer and your future projects. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
We're back on air and we're talking to my dear friend who's been always kind to me, Rosalyn Kahn. When we went to Los Angeles, she drove me around. She drove me to Toastmasters. It always has been very fabulous of a person since I've known her, since we met at a film premiere. Rosalyn, can you talk to me about the script, the project, and how you're an associate producer?
Well, the one thing that you've always known about me is I am the connector. And this is not the first film I was going to be an associate producer. I was working with Tommy Bull, and he wanted to do an Indian film. And unfortunately, the last interview he did was the one that I got to interview him for. And they say when that film gets done, that was going to be a story, a beautiful story of a person going to India and how they had created this wonderful fairfile. That when the video gets made, my name will be on that script, saying that this film was made with the work of Rosalyn Kahn, who brought these people together, and Tommy Bull is posthumously gifted in that. And so we fast forward to today. I was out working for my TV station trying to pay a bill, and I was looking for some vendors for an upcoming event we have on May 20th in Southern California. It's a car show, it's a beauty contest, a cooking baking contest, and so much more. And I walked into this barber shop that I picked up the card at the LA Fitness where I go to work out. So you're clear now, right? This is how I met this person. So I'm going in, I'm bringing in some sweets because I want to sweeten the deal and say, hey, I just figured I made some goodies and I had them in my freezer. I wanted to bring them and see how you guys are doing, and was wondering if you might have some friends that you might be able to introduce me to. And he says, oh, you should meet Dylan over here. He's a movie producer. I'm like, hi, Dylan. And Dylan had a shot glass there and he was drinking away. And he says, yeah, I got a movie, and would you like to interview me and come over to my house and meet my grandma? I'm like, yeah, right, grandma. And the next day I sent him an email. He says, who are you? I said, I sent on the picture. I said, this is me. Remember the lady who was with the TV station? And so Dylan and I met, and his grandmother is the producer of the show. She's the lady who's funding this thing, making it all happen. Very important lady. And Dylan is a guy who kind of looks like Jesus with really long hair. He says when he was young and he was 10 years old, his mother said, I want to tell you about your siblings. You have this stepsister that murdered off the family. And she was recently released from a psych ward. And he loves his grandmother, as I can tell you. He wanted me to come and meet her. And there's a cure that can help save her. And so it's a thriller slasher movie about what happens on how she tries to come and get him. And I won't tell you the rest of it because it's quite interesting.
That sounds so amazing, and it's so exciting, and a lot goes into a full-length movie, as you know. Sometimes it takes people years to plan it, and sometimes people can just send them, go ahead and go into production, and then they're out in post-production, then it's distributed and all of that kind of stuff. You know this. Tell me a little bit about what you need. What do you need for the production to move along from Los Angeles, from people that want to see the show made? How can we help?
Well, I'm really glad that you asked me that question because there are a couple things that we could use in this. Right now, we have basically the down payment, the installment made. Lots of investors like to know if you put any grit in it, what do you got? What can we do? It's a small budget film, but we could certainly use the addition of 100 to 150 $1,000 that could help us take the film and not have to do the cutting and the slashing of the parts in the film and make that happen. That would be such a godsend. I've reached out to you and several other people, but I know when people hear this, thrillers and slashes are what's hot today. Why would a lady of random acts of kindness be talking about a thriller slasher? Because that's what people are looking in. There's really a nice message to the end of it. I want people to know it's not just all thrash and nash and rasp, but there's a kind-hearted soul message. We're also looking for platforms that might want to bring Dylan on, bring myself on, so that we can talk about this film and get the word out, or stories written on it and things like that, because a film lives and dies based on the money that's there and the people that know about it. And so those are just two important things that we could have that could help us out greatly.
That's amazing. And not just my platform, but I can hook you up with other platforms as well. And can you tell me a little bit about? I've been hyping up this TED Talks thing. Can you tell, for our audience that doesn't know what a TED Talks is, how you got started, what TED Talks is, and what you talked about?
Oh, fantastic. So first, TED is an organization that began with a gentleman who had a vision to bring all the wealthy and rich people together in Palo Alto and share these great ideas. Well, a gentleman by the name of Mr. Anderson decided that it shouldn't be that way, and he opened it up for the whole world. And what TED is really about is exchanging great ideas that can change our mind that people don't normally think about. So my entree into TED is being a volunteer. I love it. And so I got to volunteer. And a friend of mine, Tom Lenzo, invited me out to a TED event. And he said, "Hey, Rosalyn, would you like to come and see a TED?" I said, "Well, what's TED?" He said, "Come and see it. You'll love it." And once I was there, I sat in the audience. And I can tell you right now, years later, 5 of the speeches I heard, one was a lady who was out in the middle of the ocean talking about the garbage patch. Another was a lady talking about a cross-cultural wedding. There was a gentleman who played music with his feet and his hands, and that's 3 of the 5. That's pretty good for many years ago.
Yes.
But most importantly, I said, me, I'm going to be on that stage. And so I took that ambition and I began working for a year. I committed every Saturday and Sunday to going to this person's house and learning. And when he'd say, "Oh, there's a special opportunity this weekend, you should go here," I'm like, "Sign me up. I'll be there. I'll go." I went to San Diego to go visit an organization, a TED thing, and I met a good mentor of mine. His name was John Bates. He and I became instant friends. And I got to see how TED was organized. John became a mentor in my life, and working with Greg, there was an opportunity to go where they were looking for speakers. And so I sit in a chair and I say, "Hi, my name is Rosalyn. I teach in the community colleges and I'm just here to learn." And before I walked out of the hallway into the bathroom, this lady captured me and her name was Kat Haber. And Kat Haber, I've got some work for you to do. Maybe you could work with us and help us coach our speeches. And let's just say 10 volunteer episodes later, it was a Friday night and I was driving in Friday night traffic, and the person who I was helping barely offered me a scrap of anything to eat and sent me on the road. And I said, "That'll be the last person that I'll be training for a TED Talk for free. I'm going to get myself on the TED stage." And with that, I came home, went online, and there was an event that was over in Santa Monica City one night, and I decided to go and tell a story, and they were looking for TED organizers, and that guy John was there, and I got to have my first speech on video, and that's what I used as the platform to give the speech to the organizer, and he loved my compassion for teaching. Boy, we've heard about teaching several times in this conversation. And so my first one was taking my students to the theater and how it changed the way they learned English. That was the first one. The second one I had was coming around the curve on my battle with scoliosis and how it made me a more compassionate human being. And the last one was called Breaking Cultural Barriers, How Everyone Can Make a Difference. And I'm working on another one.
I know about the scoliosis,
Yep.
although I didn't want to air your dirty laundry. How has that changed you?
Well, it's interesting because scoliosis, when I was young, the medicine, the American way of doing it was to operate and go in and change the spine. And as I learned as a teacher, because I had many students in my class, there's a book that's called Breathe. And you can press yourself up against the table, and through this breathing exercises, you can straighten out your back. There were exercises that they had done in England that students were telling me that they had done them. And so God gave me a great gift. He gave me arthritis and bone spurs. And so part of my morning ritual is I do exercise every morning, and I exercise my back. And my doctor said for me, the best thing I could do is to do exercises, and without it, I'm in virtual pain more often than I'd like to believe. So, I've met a lot of people, and I had one of the best doctors at the time, and so my surgery was clean. But there was others who weren't so lucky, and they continue to have problems today. And there's a reason they say go and get your third and your fourth evaluation, because you want to know what's current and up and popular today.
Do you live with pain?
Well, there is this machine that I have that's on the floor. It's called an Itera machine, and it's this blower that takes blue ultraviolet light. And I haven't used it for a while, but when you have pain, you just put this all over your body. It's like a blow dryer, except it gets the blood circulating in your body. And Itera is a company that I help on the side and try and help them out with what they're doing, but there's so much to do. There's not enough time. It's a great little device that goes ahead and helps people remove the pain that they have. People who have strokes have gone ahead and improved, and people who have chronic pain are able to deal with it. When I put that over my body, it makes me feel good. But
You're
stretching,
so
exercises.
accomplished. It's hard to know that you would be battling with having to do regular routine exercise to keep your back strong. It's hard to know that such a author, professional professor, public speaker, Toastmasters professional, associate producer that's so successful would be battling every day to try to stay strong. It's hard to know that from you because you're so successful. Can you tell me a little bit about the award you're getting in Vegas?
Well, there's some really exciting stuff that's going on in Vegas. In Las Vegas, I have a TV show that's going on there that's going to be really spectacular. There's a couple awards that are up and coming, not in Vegas per se, but the Los Angeles Business Journal is going to give me an award for my work in the community and helping the community out with volunteer work. That's coming up next Wednesday. In addition to that, I am going to be recognized in England next year for the WOHA Award, which is helping women and children. I'm a finalist for God only knows who what. I just received an invitation to be on the World Federation for Peace, on their board of directors. And so there's never a dull moment in the life of Rosalyn. And if there are any young kids out there who want to learn what life is in the media, I am looking for support. And kids are truly the answer that help out in so many ways. If you'd like to be an intern, you can find me out on social media, send me a message on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, or wherever, and you can reach out and say, I want to be that assistant for Rosalyn Kahn. That sounds like so amazing.
That is so great because a lot of people don't know how to get their start in, let's, for example, say entertainment. They think it's glamorous and all of that kind of thing. I got my start because I was lucky. I had a mentor. Can you attribute your success to one thing, or is it collaborative steps? How'd you learn to be so accomplished?
Well, I think in life we have different mentors that help us along the way. So I want to start back way young. There was a lady, I don't know what happened to her, and there's too many people who have the same name, but there was this lady named Sally Martin. When I was a young kid, Sally was my go-to person that out of 7 kids, she made me feel really special. I spent some time working at Jack Murphy Stadium, and there was a guy there by the name of Chris Cox. And he was the one who would always look after me. When I went away and went to college, there was an advisor at UCLA that I came down to see. And I was really interested in communications and thought about transferring. And he said, "No, Rosalyn, you want to get the most broadest based liberal education that you can." And that has helped me so immensely in what I do today. It's amazing because I'm able to captivate. I was a liberal studies major, I was a sociology major, and it took all the combination of my interest of all the classes I'd taken to do that. When I got out, I traveled in a group called Up with People. I traveled the world, and that spurred my interest in different countries around the world. There was the director there, and he told me to look in the mirror and love myself for who I was. Because when you're in a group of 150 people, it's kind of hard to, you're not a star performer. You're just one of the cast to validate yourself for where you are today. And, I remember I had a person who was a mentor to me when I got out in the working world. And she said, don't just start from minimum wage, go and ask to take extra classes. And those extra classes I took when I was at Blair Entertainment got me involved in Spanish language media. And when I was in Spanish language media, I met a guy by the name of Jesus Cruz who came down, was my sales manager out in Redlands. And he was such an influence that I brought him to a TV station in San Diego where I met Philip Wilkinson. And Philip
So
Wilkinson
awesome.
was part of Univision and helped me to see that. And, life is just every day there's a new person. When I got into the TED world, the first guy that I met in the TED world, um, has helped me out immensely, and I'm always going in and reflecting and referring to him. There's a teacher in the college who's helped me. Her name is Jeannie Dunphy, and she's been such an inspiration. John Bates is a huge inspiration in the TED world. Kate is a big influence. The guy I did my first TED talk with, Greg Apodaca. It's just you go through life and you meet people, and I think the amazing thing about this advantage is you never know who you meet who can help you in so many ways. And so I look out and I look at the people who I've contacted to help me on the funding, and they're people who love Rosalyn
Yes.
and have always said from the moment they met me, what can I do to help you? And so you never know what the words you say whose life you can change. And that's my own quote. I tried to find it on Google, but it's mine. And so don't slam a door in someone's face. You never know when you might need that person to come back and help you out. And that would be the best advice that I could say, because there's a whole crew.
It's so true. And when I worked on my first movie, I just was in a point where I wasn't that confident yet, and I had to have a laundry list of people that helped me along and held my hand through my first movie. And then I decided I was going to get a master's degree, and I had the amazing Brian Connors, that director, help me along with that. And it's amazing how you have so many shout outs. Is there any one person that you haven't thanked, that, or any 5 people or any 100 people? I know we don't have time for 100 people, but you could give a shout out that inspires you, that has motivated you to keep going when you didn't believe in yourself.
Well, I have my assistant. Her name is Anna Marie Buenacor, and she's my associate. She gets out my newsletter. She gets out my social media, and she saw me in a group of networking, and she said, "I love what you're doing, and I want to help you out." There's a big shout out to her. There's a lady named Catherine Orho who's helping me right now and has seen me for so long, and we're finally going ahead and working together. But there's a lady by the name of Jasala Jabeen, who's over in England. She and I met on a
Mhm.
platform, and we knew instantly that we were going to become lifelong buddies. And when life throws you a lemon and you got to make lemonade, she's always been there for me. Um, there is a lady in GSFE whose name is Nancy Horvath. She is a comedian. And there's a lady named Diane Kelly. She is a PR person, and there's just a few names of people who've dropped out of the world. You know, Robbie Motter picked me up and helped me out in becoming a woman in a best-selling book of Stand Up and Show Up, and that's pretty amazing. And there's a lady named Rita Bacuzzi, and it's one thing when you put someone in your book. It's another thing when you go back and you ask them if you can help them, and it's, you know, as it is, you help so many people along the way and you need help in other ways. And you say, you know, can't you do something? And I just remember having this conversation with Rita one day. She was on the phone and her assistant had something wrong and her husband had something wrong and she had something wrong with her health. And we were just talking, and I'm always the ear to listen to someone. And she said, I want to help you. I'm going to come back and I will do something. I did a GoFundMe campaign to help me raise money for my trip to Egypt. And I was so taken aback about the money I was able to raise in a short span of time, and the experience that was a
Yeah.
little different than I anticipated, but I still got to interview a diplomat. I'll never forget the days on the streets of Hurghada and the streets of the places I went to. There's a big picture with me in a hat and just simply smiling. There's a picture of me in the blue ocean of the Red Sea. I'm getting my oceans confused, but it was just so beautiful. And it was a trip of a lifetime. And going back to Up with People, when I got there,
Amazing.
I went to my 37th reunion, and it's so beautiful when you have 37 years between you, people that you wouldn't talk to, and it was great and it was beautiful just being there. And that was
Yes.
such a beautiful trip. Someday I'm going to go back to Ireland. I'm going to be on top of that hill, and I am going to be speaking just like the Pope, and that's my secret to the world.
Is that on your bucket list to go speak like the Pope? Or is there something else that you want to accomplish this year? You have a lot on your plate. You're an
Well,
amazing woman. You're an amazing friend. You are successful. What haven't you done, Rosalind?
well, I haven't jumped out of a plane yet, but that's not on my list of things to do. You know, it's just, I have a book I'm working on. It's called TED TV and Teaching 50 Tips. I'm working on getting that one out there. And, you know, I have other visions of being the next Oprah, being one of those reporters on NPR. This is Rosalyn Kahn reporting from wherever, taking you the story. That could be kind of cool. I love the camera. I love being in front of the camera. I love telling the stories. I love interviewing people. It just intrigues my curiosity.
I love the fact that you're unique. You let nothing stop you. You're an amazing woman. You are so positive and such a friend, and you deserve everything you get. Can you tell me about if someone were want to book you for a public speaking engagement or contribute to the projects that you are working on? How would they contact you?
Well, I'm on all social media. If you simply go online and you put my name, Rosalyn Kahn, you can find me on LinkedIn with the TEDx in the background. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll see me at the Best You. If you go to Instagram, you'll see my vast, varied interests. One person said, how do people know about you? I said, well, they need to know that I like nature, I like dogs, I like beauty, and every once in a while there's a picture of a trophy or something like that along the way. So, you know, I'm going to do it my way. And I've even joined Tumblr, and Tumblr is really fun. Do you know there are more
Yes.
people who respond to my Tumblr beauty pictures than respond on anywhere else? I fighted it. I fought it. I said, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. And It's one of the diversions which keeps me happy. It's my first little video I put up had 845 people who looked at it. Can you imagine that?
Yes, absolutely. I was on Tumblr in college. They made me track everything with how successful I was when I got through my master's degree. You have a doctorate. You're so smart, and
I don't have a doctorate. I only have a master's, not a doctorate, not a doctor, but people like to call me doc
with
anyhow.
your dissertation that you've already given to your public speaking engagements, your books, you are a doctorate. And it's life's learning and life's experiences that get us to the next level. I so admire you, Rosalyn. You're so amazing. Anything else that you want to discuss before we wrap, regarding your projects, what's happening in 2023 to 2024? What are we doing?
Well, if people want to get a part on my show in Las Vegas, I do have a show in Las Vegas. It's called KTNG 26.8. I'm looking for sponsors. I'm looking for people who have amazing stories that want to be told. My stories are always ones that nobody else interviews, but I find that interesting, intriguing trick or that question that I go ahead and ask them that brings them in. I'm looking to some major contributing sponsors that could help me out on that. I'm looking to book myself out on speaking engagements. I always inspire people, and I want to give a dose of life is not always perfect. So let me help people out who don't have a perfect day. The thing I want you to tell you is 3 things I want you to remember. When things go wrong, as they always do, number 1, stop and take 4 deep breaths. So we're going to do it here. Everyone sit up straight.
Okay.
Put your hand on your abdomen and take a deep breath in. And we're going to count for 7. 1, 2, 3. Inhale. 1, 2, 3. Go. And exhale. Take another deep breath in. Inhale. Count for 7. And let it go. You see, when we stop and we take those deep breaths, it's a chance to go ahead and reset. The number 2 is I want everyone to begin their day with gratitude. When life has your mind going a million ways a second, write what you're grateful. And number 3, go outside. Break the pattern. When you're mad and you're angry, simply go outside and look at the beauty in nature. There's so much more, and there's a bonus. There's a bonus. I'm always learning in different ways. And there's this lady who said, when you get stressed out, go ahead and scratch your head, scratch your hair in all sorts of different directions. And you want to go ahead and rub behind the ears. So go ahead and rub behind those ears there. And then you want to stretch those ears. And you want to stretch those ears like they do when you're getting a massage. And so you pull it. And when you're pulling out your ears and you're stretching them, that relieves stress. That relieves stress. We need less stress in our world. And so although my hair's a little messy, and I'm sorry about that, but we all have bad days. But I hope you remember the breathing, the gratitude list, and go outside are so important. And if you want to contact me, you can contact me on any social media. I love helping humanity. I love making the world a better place. And, I want to say, Kim, I'm so proud of you.
I am proud of you, Rosalyn.
When I met you at that event in Pasadena, and we were sitting in the audience, I'm like, who are you? I'm not very good at my phone. Could you go ahead and help these things? Help me. You said, I want to introduce Brian. And Brian and I met when we were at the film festival. And if you are here this weekend, oh my God, I got my nails done because there's a big film festival. You should get on a plane.
Yes, Brian went to the film festival. So that's so awesome. And we got to hug at Senior Entourage, we've been friends ever since. And anything that I can do for you, my friend, professionally or personally, to encourage you along to be successful, I'm here for you. We have a missing child, Rosalyn. We're trying to find him. He's in my town. Can you leave us with a quote so that our community can stay positive? I know you gave us amazing suggestions, but if you could just leave us with one quote that inspires you, that might inspire our audience in the world, I'd appreciate it.
Well, when a person goes missing, I want everyone to think it could be them, their family member, their sibling, their brother, their sister. So it's important for all of us to keep our eyes open and to ask people how they're doing and look in their eyes and really see, because somewhere out there has seen this person. And if you take it as if it was your family member that was missing, this person will be discovered.
Mhm. Thank you for your time, Rosalyn Kahn. You can come back on my show with Dylan anytime that you want to reach out. I'm hugging you through the video in the show. Big hugs to you, my friend.
Hugs to
And
you as well. Thank you so much.
so proud of you. God bless.
God bless you, and gratitude beyond words. Namaste, and I hope all the people in New York are doing wonderful. And you'll let me know when this youngster is found.
Thank you. Be safe.